This house was built in 1953, and after investigating what it would cost and the time it would take to rehab these old steel frame windows, we decided it made more sense to replace them. That there's Jack. He supervises everything. Right there I'm using the Sawzall with one of these Diablo steel cutting blades to cut the hinges out. Remove that. Cut it most of the way through and then leave just a little bit. That way you can break it off without having to drop it or have somebody catch it for you. I don't care about breaking the glass. I just don't want to make an unnecessary mess. This right here would be about the 14th window I had done on this house. I'd learned a lot along the way. This oscillating tool worked great on the glazing on the front of the house that had been exposed to the sun and the weather. Not so great under this carport here. As you'll see, I have some difficulty here, and part of it's just patience. I'm not patient enough to let it work. I could have gone and put a new blade on it and all. You see right there, I've cracked it. And don't really care. I got Kevlar gloves on and just trying not to make a huge mess of it. This whole house is made out of cement block. It's got stucco, stucco cement over it. Above and below these windows, I know because I've done some work in other places. There's about a foot of concrete, not cement block, just pure concrete, which is very difficult to deal with. But the area that seals these windows in, it's just stucco. Now, when I made my measurements for these new vinyl windows we'll be putting in here, I did it tight. I'm using this SDX Max hammer drill to make a place just to pry it out. You get a pry bar in there. I did a lot more damage to the windowsills in earlier windows. Now, the pry bar there is, if you've ever used a reciprocating saw like this, you can't cut something that will move. It'll just grab it and shake it back and forth. So you got to put a pry bar on there to have some kind of stress on it so it doesn't do that. And no, I didn't do this on 1/1/2019 as the time step says. That apparently is just the earliest date on the camera. I'll do a review on that camera one day, but I hate it. It seems to do a pretty good job, but it's a pain in the butt to get the video off of. Fortunately, we didn't knock the camera over. As much as I don't like it, I don't want to break it. All I'm doing here is there's little rough edges in that stucco, and I'm using a small SDS Plus. That was a Max earlier, if I said it wrong. Hammer drill to smooth it out. You see me working in the corners. These vinyl windows have this kind of little spike in the corners that's going to bind up if you don't go up in the corners. The measurements do not account for that. I'm very happy with the fit as far as what the company made, but that's not something they tell you about. I suspect that in some ways, dealing with this cement block in these windows may actually be a little easier than dealing with a house that's 70 years old, that's wood, and may have rot and other problems going on. This is probably 2 weeks after I started. I have a full-time job, but I have plenty of time to work on this house too. one of the first things you got to do with these windows, there's a little clip in the rail that keeps the window from opening fully. I guess it's a shipping thing, because if you don't remove them, you can't open the window enough to get the screens out. And if you go to put this thing up in there without the window open, you don't have much to hold on to. Some of the smaller windows, you could have theoretically dropped them through to the inside of the house. So being able to open the window is something you need to be able to do. And what you see me doing here, I'm just trying to shave right at the corner. There's a steel reinforcement under this stucco. And in some cases, I was able to just remove a little bit. This one, I decided I needed to shave a good bit off. Stucco seems to be in layers, and this is that outer coat. It's kind of like a skin. When I can, in these windows, I only do this that you see me doing on one side of the window. I had, I think, 5 or 6 windows this exact size. And when I took the measurements, I just basically averaged them. Now, some of these windows, they set right in, and some of them, they were tight like this, and I had to shave them. Slowed the video down at this point because to me it's just real satisfying doing it, and I imagine it's at least somewhat satisfying seeing it. Now, the way these hammer drills work is when it's in the hammer mode, not the drill mode, you press the button, you hear it whirring, but it doesn't do anything until it gets resistance pushing that bit back up in there. But when it starts doing its thing, it works pretty damn good. I like them. I've been very happy with these. And having a house that's cement block through and through, the interior walls, exterior walls, everything is cement block. These hammer drills have been quite nice. I cannot imagine, this house went on the tax rolls in 1953. I cannot imagine doing all this type of work by hand. My hat's off to the people that work that hard. And I can't imagine doing it by hand now, really. If you're going to do a job like this, I recommend renting the tool if you don't want to buy it. Of course, if you're going to live in a cement house for the rest of your life, as I intend to, I'd say buy the tool. You will have occasion to use it. Now, go in here, you see I'm not using a level or anything, because if it's not level, I don't care, because I'm not going to modify this opening enough to make it level. But I keep checking the function of the windows between every screw I shoot. I check the function of the window, because if you pull it out of square enough, the window will cease to function properly. So you see me checking, constantly. Now, I say that at the same time you see me shooting the top. The top doesn't really affect it, at least in my experience. It's the sides, and the main thing is not shooting them deep enough. The head of the screw will actually be in the track, but at the same time I don't want to shoot it hard enough. At least in 2 places on the 17 windows I do in this house. And this is one window by my definition. It's just a double hung. I shot it hard enough, I damaged the vinyl. These are vinyl windows. They do have give and flex. But only in 2 places did I shoot it so hard I cracked it, and both of them happen to be little tiny windows. I went ahead and drilled 2 holes at the same time. I've worked in manufacturing using a screw gun like this for a lot of years, and not like that. That's the drill. The screw gun's sitting on the windowsill right now. You'll see a lot of things. People say, I use a hand tool for this, hand tool for that, because you'll break something. Well, if you use these type tools enough, you'll get so you can be steady on them or slow enough on them that you can shoot some pretty lightweight things with it. And if you're doing enough of it, you'll risk it. Now, every now and then, you'll probably still screw up and break something. And there we go. And they lock. Okay, we're good. Done here. Check it out.